excited to be here. Hello, Alexis. How are you feeling today?
Hello. Today, today was interesting. I am definitely feeling very emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically exhausted.
Mhm.
Um, but overall, my mood has been pretty good. I feel like there's been like a weird energy, but kind of on the positive side of weird. I don't know how to explain it, but that's basically how I've been feeling today. How are you?
Yeah, I would say I feel very similar to what you described. And, of course, I'm like, I should know what's going on in the astrology, the cosmos, which I have a loose idea. And honestly, I mean, there's a lot of planets in retrograde. We have Saturn, Neptune, Pluto, and on Friday, which is going to be July 18th, Mercury will retrograde in Leo. And so maybe it's all of that energy. Maybe it's the heat of summer. I don't know, but I definitely feel very exhausted today. And I was very productive though. And I had to like tell myself that because I did a lot in reference to the website, the new website that I'm creating. And so that's everything I could ask for. And of course, showing up here tonight. So I mean, we are productive. And that's the thing. It's okay to like rest or feel tired and nothing's wrong with you. But I definitely feel that there's a lot happening collectively that, we're all connected. So we're all feeling it. And so maybe that is a bit of that exhaustion and just like you said, spiritually, emotionally, physically. Yeah, it's all there.
I also want to mention that I feel like my filter is down more than usual today. Like my filter in conversation, like whether it's like weird noises that I'll just like randomly start doing, or like being real obnoxious or making a joke that I wouldn't normally. Like I definitely saw that today too.
Nice. Nice.
I don't know
Yeah.
what it is. I think it's Mercury. I think it's the tail, like the shadow of Mercury going into its retrograde, and it's like messing with me.
Yeah, no, it definitely could be, especially with, I mean, of course, Mercury is associated with communication. And with Leo, I mean, there's a playfulness to Leo, of course, right? There is also the boldness
It's
and
the performance.
yeah, the
That's what it
performance.
is. That's
Yeah,
what I'm feeling. I'm feeling the urge to perform.
yeah, no. So that definitely that tracks. That makes sense. For those of you watching live, or you can leave your comment in the comment section if you're watching the replay. We would love to know how your dream space has been. Honestly, I cannot believe it's been a week since our previous live chat. I mean, it feels short and long at the same time. Like a lot has happened in that week, but also it's just like, wow, that was only a week. Yeah, it was only a week ago that we had that conversation. And for those of you who didn't get to check out last week's live chat, or the previous episode, it was on telepathy and dreams, and we had a special guest, Tim. And I mean, that conversation, the energy felt like with all of us talking together was so just, it was incredible. And it was a really great conversation. There's definitely going to have to be a part two. And I really encourage you to listen to it if you haven't already, because the dream shares, and as well as the way in which we talked about how to identify telepathic dreams and dream sharing and that kind of communication inside the dream, right? And also like in your waking life. And so definitely check that out. It was such a fun chat.
It was a lot of fun. And I do have to say that a couple nights ago, because one of the topics we talked about with telepathy and dreams is lucid dreaming, and a cup of water was a frequent topic. And I had a dream the other night where I was like, I lucid dream and I follow the path of my own dream and I kind of like see what it's laying out and pick up on it and observe and stuff. But at one point, I was in the middle of a field being chased and I stopped and I was like, this is a good time to conjure up a glass of water. Like I was like, I kind of forgot about this until now, but this would be like a fun little thing that I don't usually do. And I was conjuring it up and I could see it coming into like it was like almost looked like a ghost of a cup of water. So it wasn't really totally formed, but it was almost there. And then I hear the people who were chasing me kind of catch close, and I was like, I have something else to do right now. And I started like going with the flow of the dream again. And
Yeah.
that was it. And I just thought that was so funny, so random. Out of all the like things we talked about with telepathy and dreams, the fact that I was like, oh yeah, this is a great opportunity to do this one thing.
I love that that's kind of like your form of like pleasure seeking, like lucid pleasure seeking. It's like, okay, I'm just gonna like conjure this glass of water. It's like, oh, I'm thirsty. Like I'm gonna, or I'm just gonna see, what I can do. And I don't know, when you said the way it was like kind of there, or maybe kind of ghost-like and it was becoming more tangible, just I could see it like revealing itself in slow motion. And that's kind of, I don't know why I'm thinking about Discovery of Witches, of course, but it's like the magic. And I can see like when someone's slowly developing their magical powers and they're like focusing and trying to like, okay, I'm gonna, you know, basically teleport or create this glass of water right now, and it just slowly revealing itself. So I don't know, it was, when you were explaining it, it was just really cinematic in my mind, and it was very very pleasing
I'm
to
glad you captured it. I'm
yeah.
glad you can, because I one of the things I wish we could do is just kind of like send over videos from my brain to your brain, and
uh
like to give you a video of what it was. Like you basically already know it. Like you understand the essence. It was like you had like this like wheat field behind my hand, like because I was in a field, and then it was conjuring up, and yeah, it was like magical, and it's so funny because like I am always aware that I'm dreaming when I'm dreaming. So I'm so used to it that I don't take the time to do the other things because I have my head in the game. I know what I want. So the fact that that was like you said, it was like that was my pleasure seeking experience. That was like my play. I wasn't even thirsty. I just was like, oh yeah, I remember this from the topic, so let's try it. It was just funny. I don't know. It was fun. But I love that you pointed out that magic because it kind of has me thinking about it in a little bit of a different way and
Yeah,
making myself feel a little bit more like, I don't know.
that was cool. So Christopher's here and says, hello, love. Christopher here. There's been movement as of late that's definitely drained us of energy. It's kind of a climatic rise that is bound to fall, and we should be re-energized again. Yeah, that's one of the things I was telling myself today. I was just, thinking about, like, when you're tired and you have like excitement for things that you have going on, like it's like I get to do this thing, I get to do this thing, and of course, there are things that you don't want to do. But then when you're tired and you're just like, I don't know, I like sometimes I resist the tired feeling. And then I have to remind myself that it's going to wax and wane. Even sometimes when you're feeling heavy or sad, it always wax and wane. So, for myself, I have to tell myself to be in the emotion, allow that to be present and know that, okay, it's going to subside. You're going to move on. But, the more you push it away and the resistance you have with it, the more intense it can be at times. So that's a good reminder. Thank you, Christopher, that, yeah, we'll be re-energized again.
Thank you, because that just reminds me of the Wheel of Fortune. What goes up must go down, and vice versa. And it's true. Like we're exhausted right now, but hopefully we feel really good in like a week. Or
Tomorrow,
I was gonna say or less.
I like a week, no. But anyway, that's personal things I'm thinking about. So, all right, tonight, oh, before we get into the topic, which I'll share. Obviously, you clicked on this, so I'm sure you know what the topic is. We're going to be talking about dream symbols, whales, sharks, and dolphins, like what they mean in your dreams, which we're really excited about this. But first, we want to share just some quick announcements with you all. So, I am going to be teaching a dream class on August 10th via Ritual Craft School. The dream class is titled Overcoming Nightmares and Anxious Dreams. And if you want to learn more information, the link is in the bio, but it's going to be a really informative class, as I always have anxious dreams. Like that's like a thing for me. And of course, we have all had nightmares, and those are the most profound, that's the most profound medicine within those types of dreams, especially nightmares, especially if they're recurring. And honestly, once you really confront them, sit with them, write them, maybe have someone to support you through that process, the dreams will tend to pretty much kind of like dissolve itself. And, also that's with you taking heed of the guidance, right? And doing the action that the dream is prompting you with. So if you're curious, you want to learn more about how to integrate or connect with your nightmares and anxious dreams, join me August 10th. It's a virtual class. And yeah, I'm going to be teaching that.
That's so exciting. We always talk about like our dreams when they come up and they're anxious, and the insight that we get, like just talking to you, the insight that I get from my anxious dreams is is phenomenal and helps me to navigate whatever I'm going through where I might not see it on the surface. So that's going to be an incredible class, and I'm so excited.
Yeah.
So another announcement we want to make is Urania and I both have been working with a developing app called Dreamigos. It is an incredible dream recording app. You have multiple ways to do it. You can do talk to text. Um, you can type it in. You can upload an image, and you also have the opportunity to put those into something we call a dreamline, where it's basically a public dreamline where you can share your dreams and get feedback, guidance, or interpretation from the dream experts that are on the app, including Urania and I. So if you're interested, I highly recommend it. You also get to be a part of a monthly dream circle for free. And it's always so much fun. Urania has hosted them, I've hosted them, and it's always just such a really great time. So go over to either the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, and download it today. We'd love to see you.
Yeah, and this month we're having, of course, every month there's a dream circle, as we mentioned, a free dream circle. But this month in particular, on July 29th, 8 p.m. Eastern time, all of the experts, the dream experts on the app, are going to be a part of the dream circle. And we're going to be there to answer your questions. You'll get to meet all of us so you can fill out our vibes. And yeah, so definitely join us, download the app, register for the free dream circle. The links for all of that is in the description of this video. All right, I think that's everything. Actually, I do want to just also mention that this week, actually, I think today, the moon has reached her last quarter phase in Aries. So we're still in the lunar cycle of Cancer. So there's still a bit of a focus on your emotional maturation, as well as the heightening of your intuition. And also there's a big focus on self nurture. Yeah, so especially with the planets retrograde, I think that's definitely a big theme is that self-reflection, the inner nurture, and connecting with yourself on a deep level, specifically your emotional self. And so with the last quarter moon in Aries, this is the point in which we're, essentially at a threshold, as it's the half light, half dark moon. And with the last quarter moon, there's an invitation to break free of limiting beliefs. So there can be sort of like a crisis in consciousness where there's kind of, a bit of a fight in your mind of, wanting to let go of old beliefs, or thought patterns. And also, I feel like there's, of course, going to be a focus on like the deep rooted beliefs within your mind, within your consciousness. And so we're at a point where we're really needing to break through that. We're feeling the kind of almost the push from the cosmos to break free, to break through. And within an Aries, there's definitely very strong energy behind that, very strong willpower within us that we're being guided to connect to break through that, and to really just step out on this quote unquote new journey that we are being guided to embark upon. And so, of course, that's going to be reflected in the dream space. And so there might be dreams of being at crossroads, or like the dreams might bring up that type of feeling or symbolism in many different ways. And also, yeah, it could be just initiation into new territory. I really feel that Aries energy kind of focuses on like the pioneer, the independence, the courage that is necessary to, embark on a new journey. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you so much. And honestly, like I've been feeling that so heavily. Yesterday I had a really rough day, and like all these things were coming to the surface of like, what I need to work on, what I like patterns I'm seeing that I'm upset that I'm still seeing that I want to kind of get rid of and improve and grow and move forward down that tunnel. And even after like having that thought process yesterday, I'm feeling almost like a lightness today,
Mhm.
just from the fact that I was facing something that I had been priorly neglecting. So I'm absolutely feeling that, and I'm excited for growth.
Right. Yeah. I'm like, I'm ready to start the new cycle. Like
Me
we
too.
already know what we want and we're pretty much there, but it is literally just these stupid, annoying like beliefs, like these
Yes.
negative thoughts that keep us in resistance. And, yeah, it's just like, oh, I just want to be over there in that reality, in that like flow of being. And it just takes a little bit of time, but actually things are moving quite fast as well. So, it's all relative.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so we're going to get into tonight's topic. And as we flow into the conversation, of course, we know that whales, sharks, dolphins are animals, right? They're creatures here on Earth. And so, Alexis and I had actually did a chat on specifically on animals and dreams, I believe, as a dream symbol. So there was a very broad perspective that we were sharing with what that means. And so, as we begin this conversation, I do want to just kind of revisit what animals mean in dreams for us. So, we're kind of, just to get the juices flowing here. And of course, I think we should share to Alexis that when it comes to the dream symbols, with any type of interpretation on your dream, you always want to go with your intuition, your personal interpretation, and your emotions regarding that first, above all else, because your dreams are so unique to you. It is your psyche, your inner being, your consciousness, your guides, however you want to look at it, communicating directly to you. So other people can give you their perspectives that might resonate with you or that might open up a new pathway into uncovering deeper layers of the dream. And at the end of the day, it does come back to you and what it means for you personally, what you think.
Absolutely. I mean, it's always wonderful to expand your understanding and talk to dream experts or friends, or, Google, or go on your own dictionaries that are in the house. It's always great to get that secondary, idea or perspective shift. But at the end of the day, like if something means one thing to a group of people and doesn't for you, that's okay. It's you,
Yeah,
your mind.
right. So animals in general, they represent the hidden or repressed aspects of yourself that you are not openly expressing and that may be striving for recognition. Also, with animals, they can represent primitive desires, primitive drives and desires such as fear, lust, anger, etc. They can also represent gut feelings about others. Carl Jung's perspective on animals and dreams is that they should be analyzed individually, depending on character in the dream and association to the dreamer. So, do you have a special connection with this animal? Because some people may love cats and love when they're in the dreams, and then some people may have some trauma with cats, and when they see them in the dream, it could be like an anxious dream or a nightmare. So it definitely comes down to your own personal relationship and association with the animal. And I do want to point out as well, animals represent the divine side of humanity. If, a lot of us have that perspective, but
Of
maybe
course.
people don't. Anything you want to add to that?
No, I mean, in regards to the last thing you mentioned, I do feel like animals also could represent our guides, whether it's like spirit guides or higher self kind of masking as an animal to get your attention or be more relatable or whatever it may be. But there's so many different interpretations. I mean, down from animal to person to feelings around the animal in the dream to where you're located to who's around you. So you can really go deep with that.
Right. So just some key points to pay attention to if you desire or not, in reference to interpreting animals within your dreams is to one, of course, as we mentioned, what do you personally think about the animal? What do they represent to you? Think about the aspect of yourself the animal may represent. Is it being expressed? Also, consider the context of the dream and evaluate if the dream is signaling if this aspect of yourself is being expressed. So, like looking at the overall context can give you a deeper understanding of like, am I expressing this energy or this archetype in my life? And then also consider the archetypal, or you can say spiritual representation of the animal as well. And some dream searchers believe that animal dreams are an indicator that some aspect of the subconscious has woken up and come to life. Like, so it's woken up within you and come to life. And I think that's what I got for like the general insights that we covered in a previous episode.
Yeah, I feel like that was a well-rounded explanation. I think you covered everything.
Cool. All right. So we're going to start with Wells. Do you want to start with Wells? Does that sound good?
Yeah, that
Are
sounds
you
great.
really excited about this one? So I'll let you take the lead with this animal.
Okay, so for whales in the dream space, I took a quote from the dreamdictionary.org because I really loved the way that they did a broad like interpretation. So whales in the dream space are a messenger that has been sent from the depths of your unconsciousness, implying a major shift or transformation will be taking place.
Mm,
So just like almost like a not a warning, but like a preparation, like something from deep inside of you is coming to the surface and you're going to acknowledge it and you'll never be the same again because you acknowledge that thing. You know,
mm,
it's like finding a truth and then you never forget that truth. It's always with you. And I love that so much. I personally have had quite a few whale dreams. Um, and it's funny because some I remember and I thought I had written them down and they're nowhere. And I'm like,
Wait, all of them? You couldn't find any of
no,
them?
no, 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 no. I have two of them that I'm going to
Okay.
share that I found written
Okay.
down, but there's like
Oh,
ones in particular that I remember like yesterday that I could not find that I swore I had documented. And it makes me really sad because the dream that I like didn't write down, I felt like was one of the more intensely spiritual and like questioning of them all. Um,
yeah,
but I still have the memory, so I'm not that upset. But
yeah.
did you want
The
to?
feeling, I definitely feel the feeling that
Yes.
you're connecting with. Yeah.
So I have some more ways you can interpret whales in the dream space, but I wasn't sure if you wanted to add to that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that. Wells are there's not a lot known about them. And I mean, with a lot of especially sea creatures for sure. But they're very enigmatic. Yeah, enigmatic. And they do go in very deep. It's said they believe that they breathe like really deeply in the water, in the ocean. And they're very awe-inspiring, right? Because I mean, the blue whale is the largest mammal in recorded history. And I mean, when you just, I can like see them in my mind, like how they kind of gracefully move through the water and they like just how their movements when they're on their back and then they come up for air. And it's just, they're just so graceful and captivating. And so when you mention as far as like the messages that they bring, it's like when you have contact with whales, it's, you know, you are never the same. Like if you make a very close contact with them, I mean, I can see if like you were on a ship and you saw them, that connection in waking life would be incredible. You'll never forget it. And so to have that connection in the dream space, especially when the physical boundaries of reality are pretty much dissolved, that within itself can definitely be very mesmerizing and very highly transformative. So I definitely see that. And I'll let you add, other ways to interpret, and I'll share mine as well.
Perfect. And I love what you said. I mean, even like thinking about the way that whales sleep, because I don't know if you've ever seen the way whales sleep, but they basically sleep with their tail facing the bottom of the ocean and their heads facing the top. So they're like standing up. And it's just such a, like they're not standing because they're in the middle of the ocean, they're floating, but it's just like, they are such mysterious creatures and they're so interesting.
Yeah, they would
Um,
probably think because we're always walking all day and then we lay down and sleep. So it's kind of their version. They're like typically always, in the horizontal position swimming. So like when they're resting, they're vertical. And so
it's so interesting. I mean, that's so cool. And it makes me wonder, like, do they dream? They're
oh,
mammals.
I do. Yeah.
I would love to. That's okay. I'm gonna go down a whole other thing with that. But basically, whales are really interesting. They're really beautiful. They're very graceful and majestic in themselves. Within the dream space, they can represent aspects of the underworld or our shadow. Sometimes they can represent the great goddess or mother. Just with their association, I believe it's Freud's association with the womb. Um, but they could also be associated with rebirth, again, with that womb archetype. Um, the whale can connect to the dreamer with their spirit, or connect the dreamer to their spiritual side, psychic abilities, and inner awareness, almost acting like a guide. Um, and I have an interesting aspect because when you think of whales, you don't really think of them attacking. But one of the aspects that I found with whales and dreams goes to killer whales attacking within the dream. And I didn't even think about that. If I'm being
Okay.
totally honest, I forget about killer whales.
Yeah. They're
um,
beautiful. I love
they're
them. Like, I
gorgeous,
mean,
but like
they're
I forget
they
that they
they have
kill.
I don't think that they've actually killed any humans. They can. It's kind of like lately there have been reports of like orcas kind of like no, I don't think they were they rocking the boats or maybe they were just circling them. But there have been like close encounters, but I don't think they've ever attacked yeah, I don't think they've ever attacked humans.
Yeah,
But
and I
yeah,
like
that
I
we
think
know
they're
of, that we know
beautiful,
of. But they're brutal.
exactly.
They are brutal.
But they're so beautiful, and like I feel like that's an aspect too. I do forget because they
Yeah.
are pretty. But anyway, when it comes to having them attack in the dream,
Yeah.
it's said to represent bringing attention to the fears of the unknown. And then when you pay attention to like I said, look before location and who's around, it can bring insight to where those fears stem from and how to move through them. Um, but whales are so interesting and they bring so much depth to the dream space, and I love them. So,
No,
you have anything you want to add?
they're very majestic. And with animals, one thing I'll add too, just in general, like say if you don't have a connection with an animal, say you don't have a connection with whales, but you have a dream about them, one of the ways that I like to approach animal symbolism and dreams, like what the message could be, or yeah, what is a dream communicating? I like to also take into consideration like the behavior of the animals, like how are they in nature, obviously, what they're known for. Like when we talk about sharks, obviously sharks are really awesome, are obvious what they're known for. Same with dolphins. And so one of the things, just to add on the whole womb aspect, one, I did come across, I think in my dream dictionary, they mentioned just like the like not ancient, but the old lore of like the biblical lore of Jonah and the well, and like being in the belly of the well and such. And also with wells in like their natural behavior, that they're a matriarchal like species, animals, group. Basically the mothers teach the offspring, and they're very, very like family oriented, very family like tight knit. And they're group oriented. Also, yeah, so there is that mother archetype that I've come across in my dream dictionary, as well as just searches online, that yeah, there's a connection to the mother. So when you have wells in your dreams, you can also, depending on the context of the dream in your own personal relationship, you can also kind of reflect on either yourself as within the mother archetype, or maybe your connection with your actual mother, of course, depending on the context of the dream. And also, whales are extremely intelligent. They have the biggest brains, like the mammals with the biggest brains. And yes, they're larger in size, but they're still incredibly intelligent, and they have complex language amongst the different species. So the different species actually have like different variations of their language and the way they communicate. And so with that said, that communication, that strong family bond, also just the mother connection to the mother, and how the mother, trains and teaches the offspring. That's another way that you can look at your wells and dreams if they ever show up, and interpret it in that way or from that perspective, just to
Absolutely.
start.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And that's great you mentioned the matriarchal aspect of whale communities. And whale families, and just like the connection to the mother is very interesting. Like, of course, I thought like, the great mother, but I didn't think of it being
Mm-hmm.
mother to me. I thought of it as like the great mother,
It can
just
be that too, yeah.
exactly. So like,
With how like grand the wells are, and just when you think about wells, we think about them being like very grand and large and just majestic. And so when it comes to the mother, yeah, I could definitely connect with that being like beyond like our actual mother, but the great mother, whatever that energy and that archetype means for you. Absolutely. Do you want to share your dream? I
yes.
think that's what I got for well. So
No, I think we did a
oh, we covered
great
it.
job
Yeah.
going. I didn't say anything because it was just like that's that. That was fantastic. But yeah, I have two dreams I'm going to share for whales because I don't really have dreams for the other ones. Dolphins don't really show up. I like maybe have one dream where it was in the mix of fish, but wasn't even that interesting. In a grand scheme of things, and not a lot for sharks. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my first one, which, okay, I'm going to try to go fast. These aren't like crazy long, but still.
Yeah, you're
So
fine.
this is a dream I had May 12th of 2023. Um, it was Friday. So the dream took place at my neighbor's house. A bunch of people were there for some kind of event to experience a weird phenomena. We all had to attach ourselves to some kind of spiritual whale, like creatures, like whale-like creatures. The goal was to attach yourself to the smaller vessel of the spirit to attain connection, and when everyone did so, the floors would turn into liquid, connecting the larger whales, kind of like a spirit to you. Um, so imagine the essence of the creature below you, and when you accept it, the actual like reality of the ground disappears and becomes water, and you're entering like I don't know how to it was crazy. um However, if anyone neglected their smaller spirit vessel, the consequences were detrimental. I was hesitant, of course, but eventually I became connected with a small vessel. It was white with some orange. It was time. It was Oh yeah. Okay, so this was you only had a certain amount of time, so the time was up at the event. And someone was unsuccessful in connecting with their spirit. We did try to help, but the woman had basically insulted the spirit, which kind of ruined the experience for everyone because it was this everybody had to be a part of it for it to be a whole
Mm.
successful connection. Um, So the floors started to quake and liquefy. The spirit was angry. We all went outside to be with our vessels, but it was too late. Everything good turned bad, and we entered into a state of emergency. Everything felt like doom. Everyone was now faced to go through life and death. Literally, everyone had to give birth to a child and like die. Like everyone, it was like everyone gave birth to a child, died, the child grew, died after it gave. Like it was pandemonium. It was crazy. I walked around this forest area to try and find a solution, but our options were out. So I went back. I started to see everyone lying in their deathbeds, ready for the demise or already deceased. I climbed up on the tables that was, it was like a concrete table structure acting as beds, almost like the top of a bunk bed. And I was preparing for the worst. Someone below me, however, stood up and was trying to assist me when a police vehicle like an inspection police vehicle, drove past. So that got our attention, and we quickly got up and escaped. We passed people on beds, birthing humans, and others dying. Finally, I found a group of people leading the escape. One of the people I actually worked with was there and was not messing around. Like she was getting everyone into a shed. Um, like it was like this big kind of rickety old farmhouse shed in the middle of this field. And she was getting everyone in, and we all got in, and we were kind of just sitting and waiting to see what would happen next. And then I woke up.
Mm. Yeah, so I definitely part of the dream felt like in the beginning it felt like you were I was like, oh, she traveled. This feels like an astral travel dream. But then towards the end of it, it definitely felt like there was some community building. Like it definitely is honing in. I definitely felt the themes of like the community, the social aspect, especially like with Wells being very group oriented. Also, like the whole having to have a baby and then you die and the baby goes on, or however that happened. That's also that matriarchal, especially like with your having the baby and like where did you say you're supposed to teach it something or there was something?
No, no, you just like it you get pregnant, go through the 9 months within like seconds, have
Yeah.
the baby, then you get old and die, and the baby's growing quickly and then goes through the same experience. And it's like
Yeah,
this
I don't know. So it's
non-stop
like, yeah,
cycle.
I had to quickly look up like their lifespan because I can't remember if they had short lifespans. They don't.
No, they have long
That's
ones.
kind of yeah, it's like long. Um, so kind of like on the same par as humans, which is interesting. But yeah, no, so it definitely had that group oriented type theme, and I just got the impression that I don't know, obviously what was going on in your life at that time, but it seemed like there was a focus on like doing projects with others or like some sort of like community. I don't know why community building or project building or like doing a workshop or something where you had to work in the group and like you had to rely on like everyone had to do their part and there was like some sort of timing element or something. And so I kind of think that was maybe it was teaching you how to um like how to be in groups and I mean that's kind of what just came through what you shared. But
No, no,
we
that
can
makes
always dig deep.
sense.
But yeah, that's what I got from that.
That makes sense. And like what I was getting from it too, like being in the experience, it almost felt like not so much like a community of people, but more so myself, like all aspects of myself
Yeah.
playing the role and not being rejected or neglected, almost like an integration of the shadow and kind of like an aspect of myself not allowing to move forward, which is a theme and a pattern within my life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but especially the aspect in the end when it became more tangible and more human, that's where I feel like that outside community kind of came in. But the whole thing, like, it was almost like almost like a mortality thing too. Like I feel like during that time I was going through a spiritual um there was something going on where I was becoming more connected to myself.
Mm,
And but I was still apprehensive about everything, and I was still like not really, like I was almost like this is kind of bogus, in a way.
yeah.
So there was an aspect of myself that I was constantly fighting. But
Mm, mm-hmm.
the visualization and the first part of like everybody needing to connect with spirit to grow together, it also kind of reminded me of like humanity and like how we need to get more in touch with our own selves and heal ourselves so we can grow together and help you. I don't know. There's it's a lot. There's a lot. It feels very layered. Not very fun to experience, I do have to say though. I would give it like a 2 out of 10.
Yeah, there seemed to be a lot going on at the end there. And having, yeah, I definitely see what you're saying. Alrighty.
So, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I
I
was
was,
just going to say I have one more dream that seems to be probably a little quicker and actually happened before this one that I just shared. So if you don't mind, oh,
oh, go ahead.
perfect. Okay. All right. So I was dreaming of being in an ice cream parlor with my husband and our friend. They were extremely limited on ice cream, and I only had two choices. I was flustered by the stress. I finally decided, and it had been sold out. So I took my purse and just went and sat by myself, upset because like I finally picked something
Mhm.
and they didn't have it. At this point, my frustration was boiling over, and when a guy walked over to try to like hit on me, I left. So I grabbed my purse and walked across the street. I ran back and like I left my purse on the chair, ran across the street, remembered that I had it on the chair, and went back to grab it. And my husband was questioning where I was going. I said that I was upset and I needed to get out of there. All of a sudden, his eyes widen and he freezes. I question his silence. He points out the window behind us. It's a parlor to a beach side. And I see a giant blue whale coming straight for us. It crashes into the beach or onto the beach and into the parlor. Black sticky stuff starts releasing from the whale and taking over people, kind of similar to venom, but it's not a conscious being. They're more like viruses. I run out of the parlor, trying to pull my husband, but he refuses to leave. He wants to run back and get his friend. I keep going to get my car. Around my car are a bunch of kids throwing rocks at each other and bottles. I struggle a bit to get out because I don't want to hit them, but finally I'm successful. I drive straight up a hill, make a U turn, and go back to pick up my husband and our friend when a cop car blocks the street. Unfortunately, the police officer tries to walk down the steep hill but fails, injuring his shoulder pretty badly. I slowly follow, allowing myself to slide down to protect myself from hurting myself. Finally, I see my husband and I run up to him when a giant horse the size of four mooses starts to stampede around the street, causing the street to deform and dent. Him and I hide behind one of the dents and wait until a green strike from the sky hits the horse, leaving basically dust behind. And it's hooves. After staring at that for a minute, we escape and start to run away, but I wake up as I'm running. So
Yeah. Oh, go
that,
ahead.
no, I was just to say that one to me felt like more A on the silly side, but also like I was really scared of this whale that was about to literally lunge and kill us all. Not on purpose, but it
Yeah.
was like a tsunami was bringing it in and it crashed to where we were and like killed everyone. And I almost feel
Yeah.
like
With the venom, like that, like to me, that feels like more of a message, like a direct message.
100%.
I feel, yeah, like the first one that you shared was more of like there was the I mean there obviously the message was there, but it seemed more of like the family oriented aspect. But with the whale, like it definitely seemed like there was a message. And when you said like the tsunami, I don't know, there just seems like it was kind of like a caution or warning type message, I would say.
I 100% agree with that. I think it's something that I was fearing in my life and I couldn't acknowledge. And it was deep in my unconscious. And it was like, you cannot. you
of the well.
cannot go further.
Right. The well was that. That
Yeah.
was the well, which is like the well is a big presence within, just in general, like I said, like it's very captivating. So it can stop you like in your tracks, especially in the dream. And when you even mention it, but the way its presence showed up and with how far was it from the dream that you had, the first dream? Like what's the
Oh, so the first dream I had was May 12th, 2023. And the dream that I just shared was, hold on one second, January 8th, 2022.
Oh, okay. So there was like it was about like almost a year and a half.
Yep. Hmm.
Interesting.
It's so weird. And I feel like it, like I can probably go into my journals and look at those years and those dates or around those dates and kind of get an idea of how I was feeling and how they relate. Which I probably will do after this because now I'm like, I have those journals. I can look.
Yeah, that's really interesting too. Yeah, just to see like what was coming up like from that time because I feel like the well definitely was like a message like, hey. And then with it coming again, but it's more so like in the integration of these aspects of yourself, like maybe you started paying attention to the message, but there were still some things that you were not paying attention to. And so, like you said, that second dream, which was the first one you shared, kind of was bringing it all together, like integrating all these different aspects to help
Absolutely.
connect it
A
and how they
hundred
come
percent.
together.
And
Yeah.
it makes so much sense. Like looking back at it now, even not having my journals available, I'll like where timeline where I can say like January 2022, I was 6 months into my apartment. So that was still like kind of a new thing. And, when it comes to 2023, I know that I was, opening the door to these aspects of my life that I didn't previously, whether it was like emotional vulnerability, leaning into spiritual understanding and deeper into myself. Like they definitely align with my path.
Yeah, I feel that. So Chris is sharing a comment here. It says, interesting factoid. Humpback whale songs are structured like human language. Their songs are culturally learned through family and generations. Songs have structure and patterns like human language. So that's really interesting. I definitely like with mammals and, well, not all mammals, but with whales is what I meant to say. And then when we talk about dolphins, there's some very special connection that they have with humans. I mean, that sharks definitely do too. Um, but like, I don't know, it's just I don't know how to really describe it, but like they are kind of like aliens to us in a sense. Like the way we think about aliens, like I think those aliens are, yes, they're extraterrestrial, right? They're like other like beings that are similar to us with whales and dolphins. Like they're also like just very intelligent aliens to me. Like they go beyond what we would define as animals, like my personal perspective. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, I don't know.
And
So
too, it's interesting to think about, and this is totally off topic, but if you believe in something like evolution, you think about, okay, we all came from stardust, basically.
mhm.
Like what chemicals reacted with what to create what creature here. And,
Yeah.
if these beings in the ocean, if some of them are from somewhere else and we just would never know. Like the earth is mostly ocean. They could be accessing the ocean and we don't even know it. Like, it's just interesting to think about.
So interesting. All right. So I'm just like, I don't know. I'm in this weird energy right now. It's good energy, but I feel maybe it's like the slowness of the whale energy because I'm just like,
Yeah, I completely
it's
get the
kind of like
calm.
coasting. Yeah, it's like a very calm, peaceful energy. And I really feel that with them, especially just again, for me, what's standing out with whales is that intentional movement. and just the rhythmic breathing too of like just I just can see them floating in the water and then turning on their backs and just like expressing that air in the water and like just the way they breathe. I yeah. I didn't even really have like a strong connection with whales until this conversation.
I wasn't like conscious of one, but yeah, the more that I'm like learning and the more that I'm thinking about my experiences and just like my prior interest in whales, like I'm like, oh my God, these are
Yeah.
just so cool.
Yeah. All right. So we should move on to sharks, maybe. Do you
Yeah,
want to talk
no,
about dolphins?
yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to move on to sharks. And again, as we talked about with each of these dream symbols, you want to just pay attention to your own personal, emotional connection, spiritual connection with these animals. I feel sharks. Sharks definitely have like a collective perspective on them. And what I have here in my notes, again, I like to, look directly at their behavior, like how are they perceived in nature? How do they act in nature? As well as, our personal connection. But most sharks are apex predators, and most of them are fear factors for humans. And so, I mean, I don't actually have any dreams with sharks. I don't really like, you know what? Now that I'm thinking, I don't know if it was a shark or even a whale, but anyways, now I'm thinking about a dream that's kind of slowly coming to my mind, but I'm not quite sure. But yeah, I was being attacked. I was being chased. But I can't remember if it was a shark. It could easily be another animal too. But with that said, I'm okay with not having interactions with sharks in my dreams unless it's something like out of the ordinary, like not being attacked or just in that fear factor mode. And then in comparison to whales, they're actually mostly solitary creatures. And they follow vast migratory routes based on the water temperature, the mating cycles, and the prey availability. So there's definitely a focus on survival with sharks, whether it be with just that having that in mind with sharks themselves. Also just wanting to be in a place that's comfortable and there's food where they can thrive, and also just the like very instinctual fear or experience of like if there's a shark close by, you're like, I gotta get to safety, I gotta get to land. Survival is very present in that regard. What do you have for sharks?
Oh, so I agree. I didn't even think about the survival aspect. I kind of was honing in on the more aggression,
Mm-hmm.
fear, predator type energy, but it's interesting you say that. It kind of shifts my perspective a little bit because it also like shifting my perspective of what, these aspects of the shark shifts my perspective of how they come up in the dream. So when I think of now shark showing up representing survival, that kind of can bring to light other messages that have come through.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I have for sharks, they often show up in our dreams as potential danger, threats, fears, or warnings that we may encounter in our waking space. So they are apex predators. So a lot of them, I mean, I don't know if it's a lot. I saw a study a while ago where like it's like a shark will bite. I don't know, like your chance of getting bit by a shark is like 1 in 10,000, where like your chance of getting bit by a New Yorker is like 1 in like 65. And I know that's so silly, but like I don't know how frequently sharks actually do attack humans. It's just something that, especially with media, you think of Jaws. Well, Jaws was horrifying when it came out, and I'm sure a lot of people still have that idea of sharks being horrifying now. Um, Now I kind of see more underwater videos of sharks where they're being more playful with humans. I see people who scuba dive and their relationships with sharks, and it kind of shifted. So now as an adult, like even though I had nightmares as a child about sharks, it was one of like my many fears of like being chased by a shark or not, or like being near where a shark could get me and just the fear rising up. My perspective on sharks have shifted since I was a child, so the way they could show up now might not be as fearful. Um, but water represents the unconscious and emotions. So when a shark is around us in water, they could represent feelings of anger, hostility, and fear, kind of not being able to escape. It could represent people's poor or bad intentions or treatment with you. So if you're being constantly treated poorly by a coworker and you're kind of just letting it slide, letting it slide, letting it slide, and being affected but not really doing anything about it, this might be the type of dream that would come up for you to face this thing and get yourself in a better position mentally and emotionally, and addressing that issue. It could also be a reflection of our own wrongdoings. So if you made a mistake or you did something with not great intentions and you're starting to regret it because you feel bad about it, like it could come up in a shark dream. It could also represent the shadow more negatively. So, like, really emphasizing the aspects of ourselves that we're rejecting. Um, and being eaten up by a shark is another aspect. You could be feeling overwhelmed by a situation, overwhelmed by the amount of work you have to do, overwhelmed by having to split yourself into 1,000 people to like help everyone around you, or other aspects where you might just be feeling very overwhelmed and it's eating at you. So that's what I have for sharks. I definitely can see in many ways how these can come through.
Yeah. Yeah, there's also a connection to with sharks, there's a connection to lunar and the dream realm, specifically as sharks tend to thrive in dark waters, which also can just bring to our attention, like when you mentioned um the dark aspects of, or maybe I'm thinking like the dark aspects of the unconscious. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and that coming up, right? So when you see sharks, it might bring up like the fear within diving deep into your unconscious and like the mystery around what could be there. So, if you've been feeling that you need to do some sort of like shadow work, or you have like a lot of like fear or even anger, resentment, any of those kind of emotions that you aren't really being present with or you're suppressing, you can encounter a shark dream where there's an invitation to go into the quote unquote darkness of your psyche and to be present with those energies and what they have to teach you, right? And so of course there's going to be a little bit of a mystery to that. um, some positive aspects of sharks, specifically what their dreams can really connect you with, is your instincts, of course, your intelligence, your ability to survive, as mentioned, and also there is an aspect of power. So it can reflect to your own personal power, especially again with most sharks being apex predators, like they have a presence to them. And so, we can all be like, oh, I mean, I can't imagine swimming with sharks. Like to swim with sharks, honestly, is very courageous, very powerful. And also you're facing, the possibilities of death. I'm not gonna lie. I'm good. Um, but honestly, I probably wouldn't swim with whales. I don't know if people do that. I mean, of course, people swim with dolphins. I would definitely swim with dolphins, but um, I love you sharks. It's no shade to sharks, but I mean, I respect their energy. And yeah. So also they are incredibly ancient. I just learned this today in doing the notes that they predate dinosaurs.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, wow, that's impressive. So when
And they live for hundreds of years too, which
yeah,
is
they live a long time.
it's crazy.
So that is really impressive. So when they do come, really listen to them. Like, watch me have a dream about sharks. And I will definitely be sharing that with you guys.
I'm
Um,
so
and
excited.
another thing I've learned today too is that they have a very wide range of their reproductive abilities. Like some lay eggs, some birth, Damn, I should have wrote that part down.
What?
Some eggs,
That's
some
so cool.
some birth. Okay, I need to go back to the web page, but they have many different ways in which they are with their reproductive cycle. So
So
I'll pull it
interesting.
up, but I'm just like, wow. In the meantime, I do want to shout out Angie in the chat says, hi, Urania and Alexis. Angie from Solista Circle. So thank you so much for being here and saying hello. Um, really,
Hello.
yeah. But yeah, I learned that today and I was just like, wait, what? So yeah, so they can have a live birth with the placenta. They can lay eggs or eggs can hatch inside the mother. So it depends on the type of shark.
That's so weird.
That
That's
is
so
so
interesting.
so that makes me think about just like the different ways, like fertility coming in different ways, right? And how that can show up in your life in different ways. So if you have a dream about sharks, I mean, pay attention to maybe what kind of shark they are. If you're curious if this resonates with you, if that's fascinating, say for instance, bull sharks are the ones that have live birth with a placenta. And so
That
if you have a bull shark in your dream, then, maybe that's something that, you can dive deep into.
that
Kind of,
is so insane. That is so insane. I like my brain is like going crazy. And it's funny because we while you were talking, I had a dream from when I was younger pop in my head with a shark. And so it was just a quick little dream, but I was on like a U-shaped dock, but it was like squared out U-shaped dock. And there were people walking around and it was cold and I had a winter jacket on. And there was a shark right by the dock. And I would keep falling in, almost like someone was pushing me, but no one was away. And almost getting attacked but climbing out just in time, and it happened like three times while like people are walking around and not even like paying attention.
wow. Hmm.
So
Interesting. Did it spark anything, like any of the interpretation points for you?
so it made me think of like, being eaten by a shark. The intention was to eat me. So feeling overwhelmed by whatever I was going through in my life, but not having anybody to be there to help me through it. Um,
Mhm.
Definitely, because this was a dream that I must have had when I was a teenager.
Yeah, interesting. All right, so I don't have a dream on sharks, and you kind of just share that. So, I think we're good. We can move to dolphins.
Absolutely.
Dolphins. I was thinking earlier and doing my research that dolphins are like angels. And I mean, I think with some people, they can be kind of controversial because I know that supposedly they try to have sex with humans. So they can be kind of, yeah, intense. But the way that I don't know, I really connect with their energy. I think they're again, very majestic, very alien, like I mean alien. Like I'm like, you're some being in there. Something's going on.
It's like a human trapped in a like fish body. I don't even know how to explain it, but they look so human and so alien at the same time. It's weird.
Yes.
Especially when you see their like six packs, like they have like oh it's so weird. They I don't have quite the connection with dolphins as you like where you feel like this like more majestic like
Yeah.
experience. I'm kind of afraid of dolphins. They freak me out a little bit.
So if they showed up in your dreams, how would you feel?
So I have a dream that I had last year where they showed up, but it was such a background character. Like I was in an auditorium and the auditorium started this like holographic ocean, but there was like the creatures were real in front of you. It was some kind of weird like merging of the realms. And there were dolphins around and there was music playing. So I feel like it was almost just like leaning into that aspect of the beauty and the mystical aspects of it. But if I had a dream now, like kind of like sharks, I feel like now I would feel more accepting and loving of sharks, where now I feel like I would be a little more apprehensive and scared. Especially just like I have seen the whole like dolphins trying to do it with humans thing, and it's probably one of the most unnerving things I've seen.
Wow.
But that might just be a reflection of my own, weirdness with sexuality. So,
Well, and this
I,
is a perfect example. The reason why I ask you that is because like what we talked about in the beginning, how, if you look up in a dream dictionary or even like online, what they would present about dolphins is that, seeing them in dreams, oh, it's so positive. They're like these spiritual guides, like they're very majestic. And they're not like that for everybody. You know what I mean? Like we were just talking now. And so it's really important to, consider your personal connection to this animal. And, if you are doing like dream readings, consultations, or interpretation for people, especially when it comes to animals specifically, I would definitely ask, what's your personal relationship? How do you feel about the animal? How did it feel in the dream? What was the emotion there? And then go from that to into the interpretation, which we should do with everything, but definitely,
oh, for sure.
because like I said, for me, if dolphins were to show up in my dreams, and I haven't had a dream about dolphins, but I'll share. I had a past life regression, and it was in like a part of it. For me, dolphins are very like mystical, magical. They're like spiritual guides for me. They have a connection to Atlantis and ancient Lemuria. If you're into that, the spiritual, concepts of those or perspectives of that. And so and I really think of like this very high frequency joy type energy. But then there's also, I just like it's curious to me of they're weird. They're aliens because I'm like
I
they're
100% agree
very
with you.
close to humans. I mean, they can be very protective. So that's one thing too, is that it's been said that they will, steer ships when they're lost at sea, steer them in the right direction. They'll get them back to safety. Same thing with humans. If they're, in danger, drowning, or maybe about to be attacked or whatever, there's been reports of dolphins guiding them and protecting them and saving them. So there's like this weird, interesting affinity that dolphins have with us, and that a lot of us have with them. And so, but they're really known for their super high intelligence. Also, they're very emotionally aware and self-aware. And so I also learned today, I didn't know this, but I came across um, an article that mentioned that they can recognize themselves in mirrors. So they'll mark a spot on their body, and the dolphins, like, they'll look and recognize that spot on their body. Or there have been videos of them looking at even their genitals and stuff, like looking at parts of their body in the mirror, like checking themselves out. And I'm just like,
I love
are
that.
these
So
animals? Like,
weird.
what the heck?
I also want to share, I had to look it up because I was like, I'm pretty sure we have high, we share a lot of DNA. Like we share a high amount of DNA with dolphins. And what I saw, and this could be wrong because I was like really quickly searching, but it said that we share 80% of our DNA with dolphins. So
Wow.
that is in itself just like, well, are they almost humans? Like, are they a type of human?
They're like ETs and dolphin, like in these bodies. They're like a hybrid of humans and ETs, like in this
Yeah.
dolphin
Yeah.
body.
Well, it makes me think, right? There were different types of humans back in the day. I
Yeah.
think there's only one type that still exists. But it makes me think, like, if there are all these Earth humans, there could have been sky humans. There could have been water
Water
humans.
beings,
Like,
right. And they
like
adapted, they evolved. We don't know.
it's so interesting because you can't really like we really don't know how far back existence goes. And I'm sure we have like ideas, but I mean, even our ideas could be wrong. It could go back further than we even think. And like, what was, it's crazy.
Yeah. So what do you have for dolphins? I have more stuff, but I'll let you share. I want to hear what you have.
So, dolphins have the ability to explore the unseen depths with echolocation, which you had mentioned, the ability to see with sound. So this makes them representative or represent a representation of messengers of like positive vibrations that can only be felt, not seen, which I thought was a really interesting aspect. They represent the feminine emotions, intuition, intelligence, communication, playfulness. I feel like that playfulness plays a really big part in your dream space because, and again, this goes back to our conversation of how each animal kind of goes with how we feel about them. But for the most part, dolphins are seen as very playful. So when they show up in your dream, it might be a more like still going into that unconsciousness, like that realm of unconscious, but with a more light and airy energy, like to help guide you rather than like, going in with a whale, which might feel heavier, not just physically, but like, just spiritually and mentally and emotionally within the dream space. Um, the messages the dolphins can bring come to the surface at the right time in your life. Just like the way that they go in and out of the water for um, breathing, because of the echolocations, the vibrations through they send vibrations through the sense. It allows the ability to explore the unknown, again, encourages play and seeking higher consciousness. So I think that's what I have. Oh, no, that is not all I have. But it relates to what you were saying, where they can show up in your dream to protect and act as guardians. So that aspect that you had mentioned, they are known for coming through and helping people get to shore when they're, capsized or out at sea. And so that'll show up in your dreams that way. It can represent trusting yourself, in unity between the consciousness and the unconsciousness. And if the dolphin's seen out of water, it could represent a calling to explore the emotional depths of your character. So kind of being out of place.
Mm.
Um, but like I said, I haven't really had any dreams about dolphins. I don't know how they would show up for me. Again, like I kind of have a weird fear around them. So I feel like if they showed up in my dream space, I might be more anxious. It might be a more anxious dream. And, just as important to explore.
Yeah, if they were to show up in my dreams, I mean, obviously they can show up in many ways, but my assumption would be that it would be like a high spiritual feeling. It would probably feel like I'm either like astral traveling or maybe in a different lifetime, so to speak, depending on what's going on. Like, so I'll just share my past life regression, and it's going to be really short because they were only in a short part. But basically, the past life regression, the purpose of it was to return, and it was done in a group, like it was online, it was done virtually, a guided past life regression. Well, actually it wasn't done in a group, I listened to it on my own time, but it was for like a group that it was like a star seed masterclass, was the group. So we met together for a period of I think between 4 to 6 weeks. And so we would have every week there would be a focus, and there would be like a meditation or a regression and such, and some like teachings to go along with that. And the whole point was to kind of like activate your memory of these specific, parts of your life, or lifetimes. And if you don't connect with, some of the teachings, then, you don't have to listen to that, or maybe it'll come back later or later and like another time in the future. So this one was for ancient Egypt, and it was basically connecting with the emerald tablet, or like opening that or accessing that in some in, of that nature. And so I don't even remember, because like the person that was facilitating, this regression. I mean, between him and his mother, they can drop you, like they drop me out, and it's so easy for me to be in that trance state and I'm gone. And I
Yeah.
know it's like I'm not just falling asleep or,
Oh,
relax,
right.
because it's like as soon as I come out of it, like they're counting us back to come back. And I'm just like, I'm impressed every single time. Um, so I remember, like, it's hard to remember like the whole entire regression. Like I remember some parts, but basically I don't even think they take you through the water. I think it was just my experience. But in this part of the regression, they were guiding us to the temple that was in Egypt, that was like, it was like a hall of records or some sort of library temple type. At least
Oh.
came through for me. And so they were guiding you there. And I think maybe it was just traveling through time, so to speak, that I had this experience. I really don't know. But basically, my experience in traveling to this library or temple was I was in water and I was just, I don't know if I was swimming. I just remember being there, existing in the water, and like with dolphins like floating around or swimming around and
Oh.
guiding me. And it was more so like the feeling was just so elevated. It's like I can't even describe. It was just so harmonious. It was so peaceful, and like what people would say when they are like, oh, I felt like I was with the one, or like unconditional love, or with God, or that's basically how it felt. Like it's hard to even put into words. Like I almost want to cry right now. But it was just such a beautiful feeling. And that was it. That and then, the rest of
Wow.
it, like some of it, like the regression goes in and out. But I remember then at some point when I like after that, I was like in front of like the temple and like walking up the stairs, because it's like and so they guide you and everything, of course. So, but that feeling I will never forget. And I feel like tonight I want to listen to the regression again, because I've listened to it once after that, because again, most of the time I was gone. There are small parts and pieces I remember of it. And so it was really interesting to like listen to the whole like regression. Like I listened to it while like washing dishes or something, so I wouldn't trance out. Like I didn't listen to it laying down. So I can but it was a long time ago. And this was, I think this was probably in 2021 or 2022. So I kind of vaguely remember it. Now hearing this, I want to revisit it and do it before bed to see if I can have a dream.
That sounds
But
so, first
yeah.
of all, thank you so much for sharing that with us. I mean, what a beautiful experience. I can just imagine the love that, like, eternal love and power and beauty and just ineffable experience that was. Like, you literally cannot put into words. Oh, God. It
Can
just,
you feel it? You can obviously feel it, even though it's
yes.
like I didn't say that much, but it definitely, I have it here in my notes where it says many people report altered states of consciousness, healing, or deep peace after dolphin encounters. And that's literally what I felt from that. And it was really interesting because after that, like I pinpoint that regression as like basically pretty much everything changed for me after that. And I mean, it wasn't like right away, but it kind of was the trajectory of just like my like coming into the name change, coming into the dream work, just coming into like
You,
who I am now. Yeah. And it was like that was a major that series of like that Starseed Masterclass was just like very transformative. And that was like my favorite um like week, because it was all focused around like ancient Egypt, which I have like a really strong like connection with. And so, I haven't had any dreams or anything else with dolphins. Um, but that was just, yeah, that was really profound and incredible. So
I love that so much. So beautiful. Thank you so much. And I hope you do have a dream. I hope you have a dream that comes almost as a pairing with what you experienced before,
yeah.
a travel.
Yeah, I definitely started meeting, like literally that day I met someone who is like like definitely my soul family. Also definitely an alien. So like an extraterrestrial, because I'm just like, anyways, that's I'll talk to you privately about that. But then I met Mary, and then years down the line, I met you, and I've just started making these connections. Like after that, it definitely opened something. I accessed some memory or just unlocked something, and it was very timely. So I feel that interpretation of they come at a specific, like at the right time, at divine timing, at least they come in that way, whether it's through dreams, through some sort of deep meditation, or maybe in waking life you connect with them. That would be incredible. But I'll be honest, I mean, even though I'm in awe by them, also knowing the other stuff, like I don't know like how I would handle meeting them in person.
I know it's interesting. Like it's like you can imagine. Like I thought my entire life there are these just like only mystical, like very happy, like playful creatures that I didn't really understand. And then I learned more about them. I was like, ooh.
What
I
are
mean,
these?
even thinking about whales, right? Recently there was an incident where there were people kayaking and one of the people got like eaten up by the whale. And the whale spit it back out pretty quickly. But I mean, after that experience, I don't know if whales are going to be good in my dream.
Right? Yeah. I mean, it was like, whoops, that was an accident. They're like, humans, no, gross. They're like, they don't taste good. Um, but yeah, so
Well, they what? They eat like krill and plankton, right?
I think so. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure their diet, but that'll be interesting. I know,
I don't know what a.
yeah, I mean, if any of them were to eat a human, it would probably be an orca, like a killer whale, but and that's just very, very rare. It's like they choose not to because they're intelligent enough to no, one, we probably don't taste that great. We're not very meaty. And then also humans are crazy and yeah. So they probably don't want that heat. Like it,
No, I like that the whales were revolting, or like because boats are incredibly damaging to sea ecosystem, and the
yeah.
amount of like damage they do. If I was a dolphin, I would probably like revolt as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is interesting. You all have to let us know how dolphins, whales, or sharks show up in your dream. If they have, if you have dreams in the future, we would love to know. Hopefully next week I'll be sharing a dream about dolphins. That would be so great because next week is going to be the dark moon dream reflection episode that we do monthly. There's going to be a Leo new moon next week. I think actually possibly on the day that we are doing our live. So please join us then. But let us know what you think about what we shared here, and definitely feel free to add to the conversation, add your insights, the meanings of what these might represent for you. We would love to hear.
Absolutely. Thank you all for being here. This was wonderful. I'm excited for next week. I feel like the last Dark Moon Reflections chat we had was like last week. Like I don't know why it feels like that came real quick. It's the same time every
Yeah.
every
Well,
time.
so we were behind a month. So I think it was technically like
That's right.
yeah, so yeah, it's coming up fast. Or not
Super
behind a
quickly,
month,
I
behind
forgot
a week.
about that. But yeah, that was a great conversation, and let us know what you think and your experiences.
Alrighty, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Oh, Mary's here, but Mary's at the beginning of the live. So
Hey
have
Mary, bye Mary.
right. Bye, Mary. We will talk to you all next week. Sweet dreams.
Sweet dreams.